So as a personal trainer and someone who's lost 30 kilos, the most common question that I get asked is what's the best way to lose fat or improve your health? So I'm going to help you by ranking all of the most popular diets in order of diets that I would do, and then the bottom of all tiers, the scumbags, the people who are out there just to steal your money, and likely if you partake in them, your health is going to end up worse than it currently is. Or just for the simple fact, they don't fucking work. That's probably going to be the most popular tier, and I can't even say the name of it, but I'll give you the two missing letters. It's A and N. You fill in the blank. And if you're too young to do that, you probably shouldn't be watching this video. But if you are, and this video helps you out in any way, please don't forget to subscribe. And even if you could, please leave a comment and let me know what you think about these videos, or for suggestions of future videos, because I actually find these long form videos a little bit harder to make. But I know you guys enjoy them, and I know I can give you a lot more value than the 30 or 60 second shorts that I usually make. So for each diet that I go through, I'm going to give you the reasons why I'm putting it in a certain tier, the reasons why you probably shouldn't do it, or the reasons why you probably should. First on the list is water fasting. I'm going to count water fasting and intermittent fasting in the same bracket, or just fasting in general. First of all, right, change the name fasting to starving yourself, because that's essentially what you're doing. It shouldn't be called fasting. Essentially what you're doing is just not eating meals for a long period of time, whether it be not eating a meal for a whole entire day, or in the case of intermittent fasting, which magically you just skip breakfast, for some people think is fucking revolutionary. Of course, if you skip breakfast and you eat less than what you normally do, you're going to lose weight. However, what I would question is, how extreme are the fasts that you're doing? Are they long? Are they short? If they're longer, well then it's definitely going in the bottom tier. If they're not long and you're just skipping your breakfast, call it skipping your breakfast. Don't call it fasting, because it's a magical word. People can sell you stuff, and that's essentially what half this list is. Any diet with a specific name or a fancy name is generally just there so that you look at it, you're like, oh, I've never heard of this board, this is magical, this can solve all my problems. It's way easier to sell than giving you the basic information like I do every single day on my page. And I think if you name something special, a lot more people buy into it. So water fasting, I think it actually became popular recently by Dana White, who did like a 72-hour water fast. Dana, please give yourself a knock on your bald head. Stick to making fights, because you haven't a clue when it comes to nutrition. Water fasting can be extremely harmful for people, especially if you do it wrong. So food obviously weighs stuff. When we eat food on a daily basis, we're going to weigh in heavier on the scales. If you don't eat anything, of course you're going to have an empty stomach. It's like putting fuel in a car. If I put petrol in a car and put it in a weighing scales, it would weigh heavier than a car with no petrol, and that's what you're doing with fasting. It's going to cause you to lose weight initially. You're going to end up regaining it, and you'll be very lucky if you end that diet without a binge eating disorder. So be very, very careful with it. 1 meal a day, don't even have to say, it's essentially the exact same thing, except for you fast for the whole entire day. You only eat 1 meal, and the reason it's going there is because I've experienced it doing this diet. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for fucking up my relationship with food. Essentially, I heard it on Joe Rogan podcast. I did it for about a period of 2 months, lost a good bit of weight doing it. However, I ended up binging directly after, and non-stop binging for about 6 months, because my hunger hormones were all over the place, and because I fucked my body up. I know there's this whole thing of we should go back to how our ancestors live and only eat what they lived, and they only got to eat 1 meal a day, so why don't we do it? Our ancestors died when they're about 20 years old, so why the hell would you go back to that? We're now living till 80, so obviously things have improved, like fucking being able to have access to food on a daily basis when we want it. It can be a positive. Food is important for our body's function. Without it, we die. It's essentially why our body has hunger levels, because if we don't eat for a long period of time, we will pass away, and our body doesn't want us to die, so it increases our hunger. So why would you go about fasting for long periods or only eating 1 meal a day? Makes no sense. Carnivore diet, actually, to be fair, carnivore diet is going to increase your protein intake, probably keep you a little bit more full. Will it create a calorie deficit? Yes. I'm going to put it in the shit tier, and the reason it's going in the shit tier and not absolute wank tier is because of those factors. The reason it is in the shit tier and not in the would do tier is because I don't fancy cutting out carbohydrates for the rest of my life. I don't fancy not being able to have bread for the rest of my life. I don't fancy not being able to have pizza for the rest of my life. And I think most people need to think of this when you're going to lose weight. When it comes to weight loss, you should be thinking of things of, what can I keep up for 2 years? What can I keep up for 10 years? What can I keep up for the rest of my life? Yes, you might be able to do carnivore for a year, but then what happens after the year when you can't keep it up anymore? You're going to end up regaining all the weight you lost. And before the little dweebs come in my comment section and say, oh, insulin is why you go on a carnivore diet, because if that spikes, you put on fat, and carbohydrates cause that to spike, and sugar and the glucose and the inflammation. Shut up. You haven't a clue. You haven't read any research. You're just here commenting from shit that you heard online from some random fucker that is just trying to sell you something, and now you take it as the absolute gospel. Look up some research and you will see that there's no difference between a high fat diet and a high carbohydrate diet. In a calorie controlled diet, you will lose the same amount of weight. But when it comes to carbohydrates, they're not the devil. Vegans, I'm going to piss a few people off with this, but again, I don't hate vegans. Some parts of it is actually okay. I think for the majority of people, turning vegan as a health thing isn't the greatest, because your protein intake is going to drop. And I know I keep ranting on about protein intake. Protein is essentially the building blocks of our body, and this is why it's super important to make sure that we're eating enough of it. Most vegans have a lower protein intake in comparison. For vegans, I don't say that it's shit for the fact that you've turned vegan, but I do think it's shit for the fact you have to tell everybody what your diet is the second you walk into a room. And they brag about it as if it's this big, massive, unbelievable thing. Essentially, you're saving animals. I respect it, right? But I don't respect you going around eating my ear off for the fact that I want to eat animals. Just fuck off, keep your opinion to yourself. We all have arseholes, we all have opinions, we don't have to show them to everybody. Regardless, vegan, I don't think it's bad. I think the people that choose to do it over animal reasons and stuff like that, it's a positive. For people who decide to do it based off the health benefits, I don't know if there is many health benefits in comparison to just an omnivorous diet that incorporates high protein with fruit, veg and everything else involved. I'm not saying cut out vegetables, but I'm just saying I think there is better ways to go about it. Let's next go with calorie tracking, right? So this is calorie tracking, whether it be in MyFitnessPal, NutriCheck or whatever. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking that I would put it up in the would do section, and to be fair, I probably would. It is mixed in there, but I do think it is slightly overused. And it's not overused by people who are beginning their dieting phases and people who are learning about dieting and learning about nutrition and learning about fat loss, but I think people are overly reliant on it. I'm going to still put it in would do tier, but I think where people are going wrong with calorie tracking is feeling like that it's the be all end all. Calorie tracking isn't something that you should do for the rest of your life. It's something that you should go into, learn about your foods, learn about what you're intaking on a daily basis, learn about your calories, learn about protein intake, learn about what foods make you feel good, what foods don't. It's free the majority of the time. So again, it's accessible to most people. I know it can be quite difficult to figure out how many calories you should be on. I'll actually show you guys here. If you just go online, type in Harris Benedict calculator, bring up this, type in your details, and then minus 200 calories off it, that's going to give you a calorie deficit that you should stick to. And just track your calories up to that. Try and hit that number as many days as possible. You're not going to hit it every day. You might go over some days, you might come under some days. That's perfectly fine, but on the majority of the days, try and be as consistent as possible. Try and hit that number. If you don't hit it, it's not the end of the world. Calorie tracking can be good. It is something that I have done, something that I continue to do from time to time to kind of get myself to understand what my diet is or where I'm going wrong with my diet if I am putting on weight. I think that's a good aspect. I think the negative aspect is too low of calories. So for a lot of people, these apps can throw out numbers that are very, very low. Ignore them. Calculate your calories outside of the app. And second of all, it's seen as an end result, that you have to track calories for the rest of your life if you want to continue to keep the weight off. Not the case. Calorie tracking is a tool. It's like the books in school. You'd go and learn from the books in school, and then you'd fuck off and leave them alone and tell your teacher to go and do one at the end of the day. Get to the point where you're telling MyFitnessPal to go and do one at the end of the day when you've learned enough. Don't leave school too early. Don't leave MyFitnessPal too early. But the end goal isn't MyFitnessPal, and I think that that's where it's nearly in the okay tier, but I'd put in the would do tier. Herbal Life. I think most people know where this is going. Absolute shit. Google their name and type court case after it, and allegedly you'll find out some things. I'm no opinion, but my thing is go look that up and you'll know exactly why it's in that tier there. Anyone that I've ever heard has ever done Herbalife looks heavier than they've ever been in their whole entire life, because then they're putting on. I know there might be people in the comment section saying, oh, I did Herbalife last month, or I did Herbalife over the last 6 months and I lost this amount of weight. Same with any of these diets here. There might be people commenting here, oh, I did carnivore and I lost weight over that. Yeah, come back to me in 3 years time and see if you still have it. Put it all back on after. And for most people that are here, you're not looking to just lose weight. You're looking to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of your life, because imagine goal weight in your head, whatever that goal weight is. Imagine you woke up at that number in the morning time, right? You're at that number. How upset would you be having hit that number, felt what it was like to be at that number, and then ended up skyrocketing back up to the weight you were before? That's exactly why you don't want to lose weight unsustainably. Lose weight slowly, and I'll speak to you about the methods of how to do that coming towards the end of the video. Keto diet, pretty much the same as carnivore, but actually it's worse than carnivore. Reason being is because they sell products, ketones, whatever other bullshit they want to sell you. So it's a money making scheme. Anyone that does it can't hold back the fact that they do keto. I'm on keto 3 days, I'm on keto 2 weeks, I've lost so much weight. Shut the fuck up. You've lost water weight because you've cut out carbohydrates. Absolute ball of shit, waste of money. Carbohydrate levels and fat levels, it doesn't matter which one is higher, which one is lower, as long as we're in a calorie deficit and we keep our protein the same. Weight Watchers, I'm putting that in the absolute I already said it, I can't say that. Absolute the bottom tier. That the point system I think is absolute shit. The same as this other shit cult which is going right beside it at the bottom. I hate the two of these diets, Slim World or any slimming club. But they don't give a fuck about whether you even feel better. They don't care about any of that. The only thing they actually care about is if that scale number is going down on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And actually for most people it's normal for your scale weight to come up even if you're doing everything perfect. Our hormones fluctuate, the amount of carbohydrates we eat fluctuate, the amount of salt that we eat fluctuates, the amount of stress that we're under fluctuates, the amount of sleep that we have fluctuate, and all of these things impact our scale weight that aren't connected to body fat. Just because you're up on the scale slightly doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, doesn't mean that you've actually put on body fat, and that's what they're pushing. They're pushing that if you haven't lost weight, you haven't done something correctly. If there's anyone that can explain this to me, why this is such a way that if you eat a banana whole and you chew it in your mouth, which it gets mashed down anyways, it's no sins. But if you chew a banana, or if you mash a banana outside your mouth and then put it in your mouth, it's 4 sins or 5 sins, however many sins. It's the stupidest rule out of a whole lot. And anyone that has done these clubs, please leave down below the impact that it's had in your life or the negative impact it's had, whether it be Slim World Weight Watchers or the equivalent. Exercise. A lot of people would expect me to put this in the would do tier. I absolutely would do exercise, and I do exercise every single day. However, this tier list is for fat loss, and when it comes to exercise, I'm going to put it in the not too bad section for fat loss. Exercise doesn't actually burn a shit ton of calories. I know your watch might tell you that you're burning 200 to 300 calories in an exercise session, maybe even 500 to 1,000 for some people. Not the case. Your body doesn't burn that many calories. To get an estimate of how many calories your body actually does burn during the exercise session, half the number your watch is telling you and half it again. Focus on exercise for a method of stress management. So for feeling stressed, instead of turning to food like we usually do, instead of turning to drugs or alcohol like some other people do, turn to exercise. Movement is going to make you feel better. If you can feel better, you are going to do better in life. You're going to do better regards to your weight loss goals. You're likely going to eat less and you're going to feel better in yourself, because for a lot of people it's not eating like shite that's driving overeating, it's feeling like shite. So if we can solve the feeling like shite problem, if you're not feeling great in yourself, to use exercise to help with that, it's going to massively benefit you. So the positives is exercise can be there to help you feel better, so use it for that. Don't use it for the sake of this burns this many calories. And a lot of people do exercises that they fucking hate, like burpees. I don't know why anyone on planet Earth likes burpees. I don't know why anyone on planet Earth does burpees. But for fat loss, they're not great because we don't burn that many calories. We burn most of our calories on a daily basis by doing movements with my hands, by talking, by walking up and down the stairs, by getting out of bed, by moving around, by just staying alive. We burn like 70 to 80% of our calories. So again, focus on walking around a little bit more, moving around, walking further to the shops than what you usually do, park further away. Simple things like that are going to fit you more than trying to do an hour-long exercise session that's absolute torture, because one, you won't keep it up, and second of all, it's actually not that great at burning calories in the first place. Not in the not too bad section, because that makes it seem a little bit worse, but I just wouldn't do exercise with the sole reason of fat loss. I would do it to help you feel stronger, feel more confident, feel better in yourself. And again, feeling stronger is a big one for most people. Get to the gym, lift light weights and build your way up, feel better in yourself, feel more confident. And I promise you, the more that you do that, the more that weight loss as a side quest or as a side goal is going to happen. Let's go with TV shows. So I'm going to put Netflix, I'm actually going to put it just above Weight Watchers and Slim World, because I hate to do them. But whether it be Netflix documentaries like Your Game Changers or You Are What You Eat, and a lot of the science in it is actually bullshit. It's funded by companies that have an agenda to push, and the reason it is because you're going to watch a TV program that tells you, oh, you're wrong with doing this, or something that is very polarizing. Because it is polarizing, you want to know, okay, what am I doing wrong, am I doing this? It's much easier to get you to watch that, and that's what Netflix want. They don't care about your health. They want you to watch the TV show so that they get money. It's a TV show that essentially just told you, do you know what, you need to eat more fruit, you need to eat more veg, you need to eat more protein. I guarantee you wouldn't watch it, okay? I guarantee you would not watch that TV show, and that's why it's put out there. That's why the propaganda is put out there regards to turn vegan or all this stuff. I've no issue with you turning vegan, but the health benefits are way over exaggerated in comparison to just eating a normal diet, increasing your protein intake. When it comes to this sort of stuff, look at what you can keep up for a long period of time, and that's going to point you in the direction of what you need to do. Fat burners, get fucked. Social media influencers, whether it be just random influencers online, get paid to promote these products. They do absolutely nothing for you. They're very expensive, 50 to 100 euro sometimes. Only thing they benefit is the person that's selling them a bank account. They do not give a fuck about you. Slim Fast, can't lie, never tried it. It's quite similar to Herbal Life. I'm going to put in this shit section because I've never tried it. You know is that it's just shakes. They're quite low calorie, they taste like shit, and they're expensive. And again, when it comes to losing fat, you should focus on being in a calorie deficit, and you can do that without drinking liquid shite. Top of the would-do list is mindful eating. However, I do want to preface this by saying a lot of the people who push mindful eating actually get it wrong, and extremely wrong. It is extremely difficult to do mindful eating if you've never tracked your calories before, or if you've never looked at how much food you're eating, or if you don't understand nutrition, if you don't understand what calories are, if you don't understand what protein. You can't mindful eat, because what we need for mindful eating is mindfulness. We need to understand our nutrition, and how we do that is through our MyFitnessPal, through understanding calories. And that's why I think the first step to weight loss is tracking your calories. You don't even have to track to a number. You actually don't even need this fucking calorie screen here. You don't need to calculate your calories. Just track everything that you eat throughout the day and look to reduce that by 100 calories. After 2 weeks you don't lose any weight, drop it 100. If after another 2 weeks you don't lose any more weight, drop it 100. But if you lose anything, keep it at that number and just keep going sustainably, because you're going to lose it for the rest of your life. But you must calorie track first, because it's going to give you an idea of what you're eating. And this is where most people go wrong in the mindful eating crew, because they think calorie tracking is obsessive. Is tracking your finances obsessive? No. Well, then why is tracking your food to understand more about your food obsessive? It's not. The thing is that most people get too trapped in it and think that it's something that you should do for the rest of your life. Calorie tracking is not something you should do for the rest of your life. Calorie tracking is something that you should do for a short period of time to help you understand about nutrition, to help you understand about where you're overeating, to help you understand about where you're snacking, why you're snacking, what times you're eating at. The goal should be calorie tracking to understand using NutriCheck or MyFitnessPal, whatever app that you do want, and then moving towards mindful eating. It shouldn't be just mindful eating straight away, because you can't mindful eat if you haven't a fucking mindful. And again, learning about your food might take a year. It took me about 2 years to learn about my food before I could move away from MyFitnessPal. And the thing is, we can always go back to MyFitnessPal if we're not losing weight, or if we need to lose any more weight, we can go back and look at MyFitnessPal again and understand where we're going wrong. I hope you guys took something from this video. I hope the people that I ranked the diets that they're currently doing at the bottom, if you leave a comment, come back and leave another comment in 2 years time and tell me that the weight is still off, because I guarantee you feckin' won't. It'll be a fairly silent comment section then, because I guarantee the majority of you will come back to my video and be like, do you know what, Oisín was actually correct. If you haven't started dieting yet and you were just looking for tips, let me know if that helped out a little bit. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you all so much for subscribing, liking, sharing, whatever the hell, any feedback, all the funny comments. I absolutely love my community here on YouTube. Every one of you are absolute legends, and thank you so bloody much.